Welcome to the next episode of the Live Your SpaLife Show. SpaLife is a lifestyle where accomplishment and harmony coexist. You are in for a real treat today, as my special guest is Pamela Zimmer. Pamela is a best-selling author, sought-after speaker, and featured guest on countless radio shows, TV shows, podcasts, blogs, and telesummits. She is a professional architect turned stay-at-home mom and the founder of Your Permission Pinwheel. As a thought leader, Pamela Zimmer, known as the self-care queen, teaches moms to put themselves first without feeling guilty so they can be the best version of themselves for their family, their work, and ultimately the world. Welcome, Pamela, and thank you for being part of the SpaLife conversation.
Thank you, Diane. I'm so excited to be here.
So great to have this conversation. I mean, you and I have talked so much about self-care, and I love how you really stand for moms, in this arena. And one of the things that we talk about is in SpaLife and with our listeners is that, SpaLife is a lifestyle. And so we talk about that's something that we create. And one of the things about moms are, whether they work outside the home or in their home, they're always in accomplishment mode, whether it's getting the kids to school or their work and all of that, but they don't always look at that harmony piece. And that's where the self-care comes in. And we want them to live a life of intention and balance and one that they truly love. And so a lot of people live a life of default and not by design. So I'd love to know, what you consciously do to create your SpaLife where you have some of that balance.
Yeah, I love it. And you kind of said that magic word, the balance, right? Because a lot of times, especially as working moms, it's work, home, work, home, work, home, and there's nothing else, right? Or at least we think there's nothing else. And I strive to make sure that there's a lot of something else, and that's taking care of myself. And the way that I live by design instead of default is that I intentionally take that time for myself, and I don't feel guilty about it. I know that when I give myself permission to step away and do something, whether it's going for a walk or swimming laps or even just laying in bed for 5 extra minutes, that when I get to be mom, I'm a better mom. And I get to serve my clients better too. And I'm a better friend and wife and sister and daughter because I'm full first. So it's very intentional to put myself first. And again, not in a selfish way, but in a self-care way.
I love that because, I always talk about, having self-care is that it truly is not a luxury. It's a necessity, that it's something that really, it's that putting your oxygen mask on yourself first. If you're not taking care of yourself, how can you be, a good mom and, a good partner and a big person in the world? So is this something, Pamela, that has always been part of you, or is there something that has brought you onto this path?
No, gosh. Like you mentioned in my intro, I used to be an architect before kids. Always wanted to have a career like my dad, always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom like my mom was. And career came first for me, and then husband, and then kids. And just to, make that big story short, it was after our second son was born when I had made that transition to be a stay-at-home mom and quit my career for motherhood, which was a huge decision, but it was one that was really in my heart. I was diagnosed with postpartum depression. And I suffered through that for nearly 6 years. But the biggest lesson I learned out of that was about self-care and how to take care of myself and how to become aware of what I needed so that I could take care of myself. Because like you said, it's not a luxury. It's absolutely necessary. Not to just survive, but also to thrive.
I love that you're having this conversation because, postpartum isn't a conversation that a lot of people have. And, I'm thinking that, a lot of them don't even know exactly that they have it. They just know life has changed and they don't know, is this just part of motherhood? Excuse me, is it going to, change, and how's that going to shift? So the fact that you are spearheading these kind of conversations and giving moms permission to take care of themselves, because once you become a mother and the focus is on the child, sometimes mothers can forget that they need to put themselves first.
Yes. Yeah. Everyone was a woman before they were a mom. And just because you're a mom, it doesn't mean that that's now your identity. It's just a part of who you are. And so everyone deserves to still be able to shine and spread their gifts and be a woman in the world and also be a mom.
I love that. That's, I mean, that when the identity gets solely with the child, it's like sometimes you forget, like, what are those things that actually inspired you before, or what are the things that made you who you are? And I think when you become that example for your kids to show them that it's not just about them and that you are actually here doing something in the world, they look at you as a role model as well. So I love having that balance between, it's not that it's either or, it's just taking care of yourself allows you to be that better mother. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, exactly. I tell my boys that they can dream, and we always ask them, what do you want to be when you grow up, and if I'm going to support them going after what they want to do, then I should be the example and do what I need to do. And it doesn't mean I neglect my kids. It just means that I get to follow my passions and do something that brings me joy and fills me up and keeps me healthy mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, so that I'm not just this zombie robot walking through life taking care of these kids that someday hopefully I'm going to raise to be independent and go out on their own, and then I'm going to be by myself anyways, so we have to show our kids that we are individuals and we love them, and they can go out and do something on their own the way that we're doing it too.
I love that. Well, moms are classic to multitasking and doing so many things in the world. And, we hear this current buzzword about, when you ask someone how they are, it's like, I'm so busy.
Mm-hmm.
We all have the same 24 hours in a day. What's your SpaLife secret that allows you to have the most impact in your day?
So I use the system that I created, which is the permission pinwheel, and it allows me to choose how I want to spend my time in different areas of my life, so that when I'm in a certain area, so when I'm at home with my kids or when I'm working with a client, I'm intentionally present with them so that I'm not thinking about other things. And I get to choose what my priorities are. And I'm very intentional as to how not just I spend my time, but how I experience my time.
Oh, I
So
love
that
that distinction.
so that it's a positive, everyone, like you said, everyone has the same 24 hours, and I would rather approach it with, well, how do I want to experience my time, instead of, oh my gosh, I just wasted, or I just spent 2 hours on this phone call. Like, no, I got to enjoy 2 hours on this phone call, and now I get to go enjoy an hour at the pool with my boys, which hopefully I'm going to do when I'm done with this. So it's all about choice. And I say no to a lot of things, um, even good things, volunteer things or fun things, because I know what my priorities are. And I've established the sort of the baseline of these things have to happen in my day, and everything else can just kind of fall into place as it needs to.
I love that. That's such a great reminder to say no. I think sometimes women in particularly have a challenge in wanting to in saying no, and feeling also that there may have to have an explanation behind your no.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things one of my friends and mentors, Sandra Yancey, has said is that no is a complete sentence.
Yes.
And
yeah.
behind your no, it's like you don't have to explain that. You're making those choices, and to be able to do that, there has to be a true yes and a true no to be able to really live the life that you want to live.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that is something that you stand behind is your no.
Yeah. And when you say no to someone else, you're saying yes to yourself.
Oh, perfect. Yes, I love that. So good. I love that. So what are some of the simple ways that for people to incorporate self-care into their daily routine?
Love that question. So a lot of people think that self-care is just this fancy, extravagant day at the spa, or it's a mani-pedi, or the facial, or some luxury thing where someone else is pampering you. And all of those things are fantastic, and I love them all. But self-care is, the way I define it, intentional thoughts or actions that you do to care for your own physical, emotional, mental, spiritual health. So they can be simple things like giving yourself transition time between coming home from work and going into the house to take care of the kids, or transition time throughout your workday between clients, not eating at your desk, standing up and stretching, going for a walk. Probably one of the simplest ways to incorporate self-care in your daily life is to just close your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. And, you know, life is always sort of attacking us with all of these things to do, or, hey, look at me over here, me first. And so we have to be able to just, okay, I'm going to ground myself. I'm going to take some breaths so that I can, you know, retreat back to what are my priorities, what are my intentions, and how am I going to choose my time today.
You know, I love that. I love that all around choice. And, you know, because it's such an important topic that we talk about in SpaLife, and, you know, my clients I work with privately, we're always, you know, coming back to self-care and what we're doing to do that. And I know that is the foundation of how you serve people as well. So I think it's important to actually say that again. I would love for you to share again your definition around self-care, because it's a broader context than people actually think in order to apply it. So I would love for you to share that again.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
when we say things and it doesn't land quite as well, and I'd love for people to hear it again.
Sure. Yeah. So it's intentional thoughts or actions that you do to care for your own physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual health.
I love that. Yeah, I love the intentional aspect of it, because, you know, we were talking earlier about people living their life by default, where they're just kind of letting things happen in their day. But when you design it and you have that intention, that's a whole nother experience of how your day unfolds.
Mm-hmm.
So I really do love that. Nice, nice. Well, in the vein of choosing, I'd love for you to complete this sentence. I unapologetically choose to.
Oh, excuse me. I unapologetically choose to be my powerful self in every moment.
I love that. What great energy comes behind that. Oh, that's good. I like that a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. So is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience?
I just want to remind everyone that self-care isn't selfish, it's essential. And you should never, ever feel guilty for taking time for yourself, whether it's 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 minutes a day. You deserve it. And when you take care of yourself and put yourself first, you become the best version of you.
I love that. I love that. Just that whole sense around deserving, you know, because
Yes.
do you find that some people have like the self-care becomes like the last thing on the list? So
Always.
in terms of a priority and bringing self-care into your day and your experience, how do you lead people with that, about how to incorporate that to be more of a priority?
It should absolutely be the very first thing on your list. Instead of the last thing on your to-do list that we never ever get to, and it just goes to the next day and the next day and the next day, it should absolutely be the first thing. And again, that first thing doesn't necessarily mean, you know, an all day thing. It can be just visualizing your day, or doing your breathing or meditation or prayer, but something so that you start the day full.
Yes, I love that. You know, I think something that, and I'm not sure if you do this with your clients or not, but, you know, I think sometimes people aren't looking in that broader scope of what self-care is, and to maybe even keep a list of, you know, what are some of your favorite self-care things that maybe take just a few minutes, versus if you do feel like you want that half day, that you have kind of a variety of things to choose from.
Yeah, it's one of the things that we do in the very first exercise when I work with clients, and it's creating their permission pinwheel, because one of those areas is self-care. And so I ask my clients, if you had an abundance of resources, if you didn't have to worry about time or money or, you know, responsibilities, if you could just dream big a little bit, what are the things that you like to do? And what are the things that bring you joy? And everything, you know, write it all down. It's the little things, the big things. So yeah, it's the foundation for how you decide what to do when you have a free afternoon, or when you need a 5-minute break.
Right. You know, I love that. It reminds me of an exercise I do with some of my clients, where I have them write down 25 things that they love to do that doesn't cost anything. Because, you know, sometimes you think about, oh, well, if I'm going to spend this time going somewhere or doing something, that it's going to cost a lot of money. But some of the things that are our favorite things actually don't cost anything.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty amazing. Just is what feeds your soul and how simple it can actually be.
Yeah. Self-care can be very simple. You just have to spend the time to do it.
Right. Right. Invest in yourself. Right.
Yes, absolutely.
So I have a surprise question for you.
Uh-oh.
What if is it in spa life, and part of the term that comes from spa life is how you feel in your space. Because most people know when you walk into a spa, that's that feeling of awe, and you feel really good in that space. And so we want to create the different rooms in your home have a different feeling. So you'd have a different experience of how you feel in your bedroom than you would in your office and you would in your family room. So the question is, what is your favorite room and why?
I think so my office is half of it's my favorite because I'm reorganizing it to create it as my favorite. I have this beautiful light up there, which I wish you could see. It's like this gorgeous flower, and it brings me joy. But I think my favorite room is actually the living room because I can sit on the couch and I have a window in front and a window on the side and pictures of my kids, and it's cozy. And that's where I just, yeah, it's like the couch gives me a little hug.
I love that. And how do you feel in that room?
Oh, I just feel relaxed.
I love that. I love talking to people about their favorite rooms and different aspects in their room because how you feel in a room really lends itself to the kind of experience that you have in that room. So I always find it fascinating of what people love about their room and what they've created to have that experience in their life. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
Great question.
Yeah, thank you. So I know, Pamela, our listeners are going to keep in touch with you, and how can they do that?
Yeah, there's a couple different ways. So I have a free Facebook group, which is called Self-Care Isn't Selfish. So they can always find me there. And we are a very supportive, open group, sharing everyone's journey of self-care. And then I also have a free gift called Ditch the Mom Guilt for Good. And it's a PDF download that you can get from my website, which is at pamelazimmer.com/free gift.
Perfect. So for our listeners that end up hearing it on the podcast and it's audio, can you give that again?
Yes. So the free gift, Ditch the Mom Guilt for Good, is at pamelazimmer.com/free gift. And my free Facebook group is called Self-Care Isn't Selfish.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. And for our listeners, I really highly recommend that you connect with Pamela and hear more about what she's doing for self-care and what she does for moms and her big mission in the world. Please check that out. And for those of you who are curious about spa life, I'd love for you to, look at more of having more of that accomplishment and harmony in your life as well. And I also have a free gift at dianehalfman.com/guide. And that way you can get this Spa Life guide to really look at things that we talked about today about having more of that harmony in your life. And again, that's dianehalfman.com/guide. So Pamela, thank you so much for being here and sharing your wisdom with our listeners. And any other thing final?
I am just so grateful that I get to be a part of your Spa Life show, and I love what you're doing, and I look forward to keeping connected and collaborating with you in the future. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
All right, listeners, thank you for joining us. And until we connect again, live your spa life. Bye for now.